And welcome back to Seminole Sidelines. My name is Nick Carlisle, staff writer, recruiting writer with theosceola.com, here with Jerry Kutz, publisher of theosceola.com, and a very special guest today, Mark Cameron with the Seminole Boosters, the vice president of stadium development and sales strategy. Mark, thank you so much for taking time out of your day to be with us. How is everything going? It's a busy time for you. Single game tickets just went on sale yesterday. You were telling us a little bit about before you got on here, and things are going well so far. But if you just want to explain a little bit about what your job title entails, what you do, and how things are going with the Seminole Boosters right now, a month or two ahead of football season.
Yeah, thanks, Nick. Thanks, Jerry. Excited to join you guys here today. Here with Seminole Boosters. Really have spent the last couple of years in a role helping oversee the sales side of the Doak renovation. And so it's been a lot of outreach with longtime season ticket holders, donors, helping our sales and development staff as we connect with them and really just try to make sure that we're helping explain all of the new different options coming to Doak. As you mentioned, Nick, we're zeroing in now less than 2 months away from really that grand opening against Alabama on August 30th. Very excited for everybody to see what Doak will look like. Everything's kind of coming together now as you start to see some of the new concourses, concessions, premium areas start to shape out. So very, very excited for people to join us. And yeah, it's kind of that sprint to the finish now. So it's normally July can be a little slower at the beginning of the month, but that has not been the case this year, which is good.
Mark, I was looking at your bio, and have you been at FSU now for almost 10 years?
Over now, actually. It's 14. So started actually July of 2011. So almost exactly 14 years now. And obviously started there with you, Jerry, here on Seminole Boosters, and enjoyed all the conversations we had over the years and getting to learn from you. But yeah, kind of crazy to think it's been 14 years now.
Well, that makes me feel old, dude.
You are old, Jerry. I'm sorry to tell you.
That's a good point, Nick.
Great. Hey, only Mark, good observations here.
Yeah. You got a real
keen eye.
Yeah, keen eye. Sherlock Holmes over there.
Yes.
Hey, Mark, I know our listeners had a lot of questions about the changes made to Doak. Yeah. I know you've got all the answers. So let me hop into it. Let's start with the obvious. Why were the renovations to Doak necessary? And will the stadium be ready for that much anticipated game with Alabama?
Yeah, absolutely. Well, first off, just want to say thank you, Jerry, for all the work you do, kind of really just educating people. I think that's a challenge that we realized pretty early in the process was as we were meeting with donors one by one, every single donor and ticket holder had a different seat or different experience as far as who went to the games, how long they've been donating, how long they've been coming. And so it was really hard to try and communicate in mass. We wanted to take an individualized approach. But what tends to happen there is numbers get extrapolated and somebody sees a number posted and they think that's the per seat cost when it was that person's cost for 6 seats and things like that. So I appreciate everything you've done to go above and beyond to share as much information as possible and help us with more of the mass communication side. But starting with the second part of your question, absolutely, we will be ready for Alabama. We're excited for that game. We should be in a really good spot actually to do a couple kind of soft launches before then in terms of just sneak peeks. Speaking with our athletic director, Michael Alford, the other day, and he was reiterating again and again, it can't be the first time you're turning on the ovens for the concessions when we have Alabama coming into town. We want to make sure everything's fired up and ready to go. So we'll have a few sneak peeks and opportunities before that game, but we will absolutely be ready for that one on August 30th. And as far as the renovation being necessary, Jerry, I think you know better than most, just given your background with Seminole Boosters, a lot of the studies over the years pertaining to really two things. Number one, just the facility that is Doak Campbell Stadium and some of the structural issues that we've had over time. A lot of money went into just maintaining and making sure that we were safe to host people for games. Not money that was really enhancing anyone's experience, but just making sure that, certain areas of the stadium weren't condemned, right? We wanted to make sure that we were functional. And you get that with a 70-year-old facility. That's not uncommon in college athletics. The second thing I think that you're also very familiar with is just some of the feedback that we've gotten from donors over the years of wanting to have a more comfortable experience at Doak Campbell Stadium. That doesn't always mean premium seating. I think a lot has happened on the mass scale where people think this is a premium seating opportunity. When we look at that west sideline, it's not going to be a very large number of seats that are premium, but we are adding things like more comfortable bleacher seating, more comfortable chairback seating. The majority of that stadium is still going to be non-premium seating. That sideline is going to be the high 80%, like 87, 88% will be non-premium seating, but it'll be things like enhanced tread depth. So what we talk about in terms of people having more leg room, chairback seating, that you have to have an enhanced tread depth to put in chairback seating to have just a more comfortable experience. Florida State is very special in the sense that our brand travels everywhere, and we have fan bases all over the country that experience some of the newer facilities. We were actually the first football game at Mercedes-Benz Stadium in 2017 against Alabama. People came back from that game talking about how great of a venue that was. And then for 7 home games, they would be in a cramped bleacher seat. And towards the end of the year, they would wonder, why do I keep doing this to myself? And we had a few options like the Champions Club that people could go to, but really nothing else. And so really we took Doak from 3 experiences, suites, end zone club, and bleacher seating into about 12 different experiences with things like non-premium chairback seating, wider bleacher seats with more enhanced leg room, loge boxes, ledge seating, a lot of different areas that we've seen have been popular across college athletics and stadiums across the country, and really just trying to feed into what we've been hearing for years that our fan base wants to see.
Mark, you mentioned the handrails and the little speed steps. I don't know if you use those terms, but it's the rise and the run on your staircase. How hard is it to climb up that 20 rows to get to your seat?
Yeah.
And by putting in those little, what we call speed steps there, they take an 8-foot step and they make it an 8-inch step and they make it two 4-inch steps. It really makes that little detail makes a huge difference for a lot of our fan base who's, Nick, they're my age and older. And that ability to get to your seat and to be able to get down to the men's room and back, it's a small thing, but it makes a huge difference in a person being able to enjoy the game day experience. What are in your mind, how big a deal has that been for people?
Huge. Back to just being here for the last 14 years and spent several of those years on a really frontline role, speaking to season ticket holders and donors on a daily basis. And, the number of times I would hear the handrails come up and just how unsafe it was above a certain row, because those steps, like you talked about, once you hit row 60, from 60 to 85, those were like twice as big. And, we would have issues with people that just couldn't navigate that. And you say something as simple as, well, why can't you just put handrails up? And that triggers all sorts of code compliance. You're already shaking your head, where all of a sudden now you have to go wider with your aisle. What that does is you cut off about 6 inches of each bench, which doesn't sound like a big deal, but 6 inches on each bench, you lose some seats. Now all of a sudden you trigger a reseat. And there's other things you trigger with code compliance. These are all things we've wanted to do, but you can't do in a vacuum as a one-off, because you would be reseating the venue each and every year that you're making these small changes. So as we identified this opportunity to renovate Doak and really completely change the entire west sideline, we wanted it to be new and up to code, which it is. But even on the east side of the stadium, we spent last off season addressing that area, adding in more ADA seating, flattening out certain areas where there's ADA ramps instead of steps, adding in the handrails all the way up to the top on the east side, just because we've been, kind of on the brink of that, ADA code compliance for a while now, and knew that anytime we were going to do something, it would trigger a lot of these things to make sure we're updating them. So it was long overdue, but it was a really great timing when we're talking about renovating the seating to do the other things we just mentioned in terms of ADA seating, different steps, handrails, making sure that the Doak's a safe venue as well.
Yeah, it's funny, Mark. It's a little bit off topic, but when you talk about triggering ADA, people don't realize, the simplest change, like adding the handrails, it triggers. You got to do it. There's 40 aisles in that stadium,
right?
And then that triggers line of sight. We only had ADA seating in the end zone and a little bit on the sidelines. And so now you've got to have be compliant with line of sight for ADA needs and their companion. And it's the right thing to do, but boy, it requires a reseat of the stadium. And we've never had a reseat at Florida State. So, my heart goes out to you. That's a tough message to talk to people about, and very difficult. A lot more difficult than the ticket priority policies I had to implement. So sensitive to what you all are having to, try to communicate. Mark, tell us what ticket packages are available for the 2025 season. I know you all were talking about the single game sales are now open.
Yep.
So what's available?
Yeah, so I'll start there with single games. We did a tiered rollout, which we've done the last few years, trying to show value to our donors at certain levels. So we had a one-day pre-sale for anyone at the Silver Chief level and up, so Silver, Gold, and Platinum, and Legacy Chief. And then the next day was remaining boosters, so those same 4 levels as well as Tomahawks and below. We actually had a tremendous response on the seats we had set aside for single game tickets. We ended up selling out of the Alabama tickets before we got to the public on sale, which was day 3. We also had a lot of outreach from people that were former season ticket holders that maybe didn't renew. That was something that our president and CEO, Stephen Ponder, wanted to make sure that group didn't get lost in the shuffle. They may have had different reasons for not renewing, tied to maybe seating displacement or otherwise. So we targeted that group as well and saw, in a 4-hour span, we had about 55 of those people buy single game tickets. And so we're always finding ways to make sure that we have opportunities, even if it's just on a single game basis, to come out to a game this season. Beyond that, we still have a very limited number of season tickets available, which include the Alabama game. So the seats that were public single game tickets for Alabama are sold out, but we do still have the Alabama game included in a few limited number of locations for season tickets, both on the east side as well as our new west sideline chairbacks. A little bit in the Dunlap Champions Club, that's getting close to selling out. And then the cool new package that we added that I think is going to be the coolest way to experience Doak this fall is the Nole Pass. And Jerry, you were on staff when we did something similar. We did a mobile-only pass several years ago that you were guaranteed a seat for every single home game, but the seat varied by location. Now, before that didn't mean much because it was all bleacher seating. So it was pretty much, just yard line or end of the stadium. So same thing with the Nole Pass. That's priced at $650 per seat. So that includes the booster requirement as well as the ticket cost. And that's a seat for every single home game, including Alabama. And the location varies game to game. So you may be, east sideline one game, corner bleachers the next, maybe the new west sideline bleachers that we have with the increased legroom, and then maybe in the new chairback seating for 1 or 2 games. So it's a really cool way to test drive everything that we have this year, knowing there's different types of seating experiences. And we saw a really cool reaction to that. The first day we rolled it out, we had 25 people purchase a total of 66 passes in the first day, which was a really cool thing to see. So we'll continue to keep pushing that. It is limited to 1,000 seats, back to the number of seats we have remaining for this season. So once we hit 1,000 seats sold on the Nole Pass, we will pull the plug on that as well.
So, Nick, I refer to that as the charcuterie board of ticket packages.
I like that. You can tell Jerry spent all his years in marketing here because he's got all the.
He's got the fancy language. He's got the businessman mentality.
So for the person that likes to make new friends, that seems like a very attractive package.
No, it is. It is.
My name written all over it.
So, Mark, can people come down to Doak and see which seats are available in the sections that are still available? Is Doak going to be opening anytime soon to allow people to come and see what's available? For those that are maybe around the country, is there a way for them to see virtually online what's available, what that seat's going to look like?
Yeah, great question. So we're getting closer to having the ability to walk people through. My background's always been sales, and I think you gotta see something to believe it. And I've been chomping at the bit. Our facility guys are probably sick of me, but trying to get people down here to show them everything. And it's a delicate balance, right? It's an active construction zone. I don't want to hold anything up. You don't want to get people in the way of anything, but at the same time, I think we're getting closer within the next couple of weeks of having the certificate of occupancy where it's turned back over to us to apply finishing touches. And then we're no longer having to do hard hat tours or sign waivers or anything like that. We did that in the spring. We had a lot of success. I know Jerry came to one of them when people were able to see the live construction zone. But now as it's coming to a close, being able to sit in a seat that's available for sale and test drive it is far more impactful. So we're getting very close to doing that. In the meanwhile, we do have several virtual options. There's a live webcam on our website, on Seminole Boosters website right now, that gives you some cool angles of what's going in. And then all of our sales and development staff have the ability to have a virtual meeting with somebody where we can walk them through our presentation with renderings, view from seat, things of that nature, to really kind of replicate what we can do until we can get somebody in the seating. Because you brought up a good point in terms of just people around the country. When we do get to the point when we can take people through and show them seating, there's still a large amount of our fan base in outer markets like Tampa, Orlando, Atlanta, Jacksonville, Miami, that's not going to be feasible. The first time they come back to Tallahassee is probably going to be August 30th for the Alabama game. So what can we do to still have a lot of virtual assets that we can walk those people through, a view from seat, as well as several renderings, and get them familiar with the space and seating options?
Hey, Mark, you remember when we used to take people up the buck lift at the Champions Club?
I do. I was talking about that with someone the other day who had bought into the project early, and I said, every time I took that elevator, I was wondering, is this going to be the last ride that I get to take on that thing?
Dude, that was like back in the old days at Disneyland, before you were born, Nick. They used to call that an e-ticket. That was a thrill ride, the buck lift.
Yeah. It was
that long ago. I mean, really, like that would have been 30 years ago. Is it really that long ago?
No.
I was about to say.
No, the buck lift, we did that in 2015.
Yeah.
No, but you were talking about Disneyland or whatever.
Oh yeah, Disneyland. Yeah, that's right. I don't know.
I'm getting gray hairs, man. I'm getting gray hairs now. Crippling and aging by the day.
Okay, so Mark, I'm gonna anticipating questions from our listeners. How much are these tickets? I mean, what are some of the ticket prices? Suppose I'm a young couple and got a couple kids and we want to come to a game. What are some ideas on ticket prices?
Yeah, so we mentioned the Nole Pass earlier at $650 per seat for the whole season, and so that would be your per seat cost. Similarly, we have bleacher season tickets that range from $550 to $750. Our least expensive season ticket did sell out in the end zone. That's $400 all in. So our now least expensive seat is $550 for the full season. That's more of your east sideline corner end zone. And then we have the new chairback seating as well too. So that chairback seating can range anywhere from $1,250 to $2,000 per seat on the annual cost. It gets higher as you move closer to the 50. And then there's also a one-time capital gift associated with that helps really fund this whole renovation. And that capital gift can vary anywhere from $1,000 to $3,000 per seat as well. That's payable over time. So that gives you kind of a general idea of what some of those different price points look like. And then it's a little higher than that in some of the premium areas like the Champions Club that still has some inventory.
So what I think is really interesting for our listeners to understand, and not very many people understand this, I might add, is when Mark gives you a price of $600 or, for a seat, that includes the ticket requirement from the boosters as well. We used to always price things as a season ticket price, and then you had to be like a Tomahawk or a Warrior in order to buy that seat. So when you're thinking about these prices, keep in mind there's no booster contribution in addition to.
Yeah, that's a great point. I think it was 2016 that we went to more of the per seat model, where it was a per seat requirement plus the ticket cost, which is what that is now. I just gave it to you fully packaged. And then it was this last 2 years, we moved towards that model across all sports and all segments, because we still had some areas like the Dunlap Champions Club that were what you described. Even though we were per seat in the bleachers, it was, if you wanted 4 seats, you would have to be a Tomahawk level. But if you wanted 6, it was Silver Chief, so it would kind of skew up for the more seats you had. So when we repriced everything with the renovation and across all of our sports, it moved to a true per seat model. Didn't matter if you were buying 8 seats and Nick was only buying 1, you guys would be paying the same per seat cost across all the areas.
So now we have listeners here that are hearing these season ticket prices, and they're wondering, how does a young family of 4 afford that? to go see a Seminole game. But if you look at the single game ticket prices, there are some very reasonable tickets for single games, are there not?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, obviously a game like Alabama, you can only do so much. I think if we priced it lower, we would see far too many people wearing crimson as opposed to garnet in those seats. And, it might blend in enough.
Different tint. Yeah, a little bit of a different shade.
Right. So
it's always superior.
Hey, let me say this. Let me interject here. Charlie Barnes, who's the great executive director of the Boosters for many years, once told me, garnet is not a color. It is a suggestion.
It's a good point. You can notice a lot of different garnets across the stands when you see people with shirts and what they're wearing. But yeah, so a game like that is obviously a little bit different, as well as Miami. But for the other 5 home games we have, I mean, they're all priced quite affordably. I mean, we have single game tickets starting at, $21 for East Texas A&M and a $16 youth rate with an $11 group rate. And then for the other,
say that again. You're saying that people can buy tickets. If you want to take a Boy Scout group to a game,
yep,
you can get it for $11 a person.
Correct. So when you have 20 or more people, the group rate would kick in. So it would go down to $11 per person for East Texas A&M. For the other 4 games, that would be Pitt, Wake Forest, Virginia Tech, and Kent State. Group rate starting at $16.
Are those seats in the parking lot?
Nope. You'll be in Doak. Those will be more in the kind of lower end zone southeast corner would be that location. And then we even have some group rates moving you further down the sideline. So for a little bit more, you can even get a better location. Those group rates are $16 and $27 depending on the game. So really affordable options across all 5 of those games. And even if it's not a group, say it's just, you and Nick going to the game and you wanted to sit in our new say the new West Sideline bleachers, the longer, leg room. We don't have many of those left, a couple hundred. But say if you wanted to sit in those for a game, East Texas A&M's $42. The other 4 I mentioned, $63. And that's for a brand new seat with new concessions, new restrooms, everything on that West Sideline.
Yeah, I think that's, I hear people around town going, well, they're pricing people out. And, how's a young family going to take their kids and get them used to going to a home game? I think the single game tickets is pretty dang accessible.
Yeah, and we've always tried, and you know this, Jerry, when you were here, we've always tried to have kind of 2 different price strategies. There's an Alabama and a Miami game, which is more about yielding revenue. We know we're going to sell that out. We want to make sure that we're using that to yield the revenue needed to support our student athletes and all of our endeavors. And then there's the other games where we're taking more of a approach of being family friendly. We want people to come out. We want butts and seats, right? We want to make sure everyone's here to support the Noles. And those tend to be more local plays. East Texas A&M is a prime example. That is the week directly after the Alabama game. So if you've traveled from out of market, which 2/3 of our season ticket holders do, to come to the Alabama game, you're probably not turning around and coming back for East Texas A&M the next week. So what are we doing to engage what you said? Local Boy and Girl Scout groups, Pop Warner leagues, things like that, to make sure that we're getting those people here and they're going to experience a good time and not at a very high cost.
Something that you briefly talked about and mentioned earlier is the Nole Pass, which is something that y'all are offering this year. First of all, what is the Nole Pass? Why may it be a better option if maybe people are a little bit hesitant about a full season, paying for a full season? What is the Nole Pass? What does it provide? And what are some of the pros and cons of it for not only, older folks that may be trying to come to the game, but families, younger people like myself that may see the Nole Pass as a more reliable and more lucrative option?
I definitely think it skews younger in terms of age demographic. We noticed this when we sold it in the past, because I think there are people that, whether that be millennials or now Gen Z, that they want to make sure they have a seat to the game, but they're not necessarily worried about that location until it gets closer, right? They just know that they're guaranteed an opportunity. They can be more flexible. And I think you see that with travel and other things as well, too.
Which is what all you can really ask for at this point. Because, I graduated from 2019 and we're in the student section. And now a lot of us at this age, we're going to be paying for tickets for the first time in pretty much our entire Seminole career legacy, however you want to call it. So Yeah.
So you actually just missed the cutoff, Nick. We do have a recent grad version of it too. And so if you've graduated within the last 5 years, you actually do qualify for the recent grad. You're just out of it. But
that's
that would
okay.
be,
I've got air conditioning in the press box, Mark. I'll be okay.
There you go. You'll be fine.
Air conditioning and snacks. I'll be all right. But for everybody else that's going to have to bake in this September sun.
Right. The recent grad version is actually $400 per seat instead of $650. We had a nice discount in there. So when you're talking about $400 per seat across all 7 home games, I mean, you're at a $57 price point on average per game. And that's including Alabama and Miami. So we really want to price this to be able to sell the 1,000 seats we have held for it. But at the same time, we see it as a great sampling opportunity. And Jerry knows a lot about this. When you have a new facility or a new area, you want to get people that sample it and test it out. Because we have a lot of people that maybe are interested in the new chairback seating we're offering or some of the new club areas. But maybe when they first got presented with the price, there was sticker shock or it was like, I don't know if I'm going to like it. I would love to test drive it, right? So this really gives us that opportunity to say, okay, I'll probably be in some of these new seating areas for 2 or 3 games for the year. I won't know my seat until it gets closer, but I'll know that I'm in Doak. And then when I get there, I may say, oh my goodness, for the Miami game, I ended up on, 30-yard line new chairback seat. I'll check SeatGeek real quick. That's a $450 value, for a $650 for the whole season. So I think that's the big pro upside. I mean, it could be a con not knowing exactly where you're sitting, but the pro is you could really draw some great locations across the whole season.
And Mark, when you say you don't know where you're seating, it's not a surprise. They don't tell you when you get to the stadium.
Right, in advance, yeah. So we're planning internally Thursday of each week. So the game will be Saturday. On Thursday, you'll get delivered your tickets. So you'll know in 24 to 48 hours prior to kick where you're sitting at. So yeah, it's not like you show up and some usher has to direct you around the stadium. You'll know in enough time before you go. So the nice thing is you kind of know you have that in your back pocket. And then I like it because I think there's almost like a mystery element to it. I think of, I grew up being like a sports card collector where you'd always open the packs and boxes of sports card and you'd get that rare insert or that autographed, baseball card. And you're like, oh my God, there's a thrill of it to like, what do I have in here? That's really cool, I think.
Now, assuming that those games, Jerry, now assuming that those games are not sold out, let's say that you do get your random seating assignment and maybe you're right next to the Clemson band that are playing that obnoxious final note of whatever song they're playing.
Where's the tiger?
Yeah, something like that. Because I know I had friends that usually go for those cheaper seats in the away section right behind the band and it's loud. Let's say theoretically that you get your ticket on that Thursday and you're not quite happy with it. Are you stuck with it? Is there a way for you to maybe spend an extra maybe $100 to maybe move somewhere else, assuming the game isn't sold out? What are the options there? Or basically beggars can't be choosers. You get what you get.
So no options to move the seat, but once you're delivered the location that Thursday of, it can be transferred or resold at that point. Okay. So say if you don't like the location or, you know what, I'm out of town for this game, I'm not going to be able to make it. You can find somebody who is looking to go and either transfer it to them or resell it through the marketplace. So that gives you an opportunity as well if you're trying to either recoup or more importantly, make sure someone uses it, right? That was what we saw with the mobile pass in the past when we used it in men's basketball. It was getting a higher use rate than our static season tickets, which was pretty cool. It was close to 90% usage rate, which is awesome because you guys are familiar with men's basketball. It's tough because you'll have that Tuesday 9:00 game against Wake Forest, right? And it's like, man, it's a tough draw. But all of a sudden, someone who has that pass, they might even have been sitting on their couch and then they got it earlier that day because men's basketball we would assign the day of, and now all of a sudden they see they're 10 rows behind the bench and they're like, oh, I'm going now. I'm excited now to go over there. So it's also cool for us internally because it allows for us to do things like manage distressed inventory. If we do get some seats that come back that we're like, well, we've long been sold out of this game, we're not going to throw them back out to the public. What can we do to put bodies in them? So that's another cool way for us to manage inventory with the mobile pass.
Mark, that's awesome. You've been, as I expected, a wealth of knowledge. You've learned a few things in your 14 years.
I have, and a lot of them from you too, Jerry.
That's hard to imagine. Anyway, Listen, I sure appreciate your time, man. And get back to work. You got some tickets to sell.
We got a busy July and a busy August. We're looking forward to it. I'm excited for everybody to see the renovated Doak Campbell Stadium on August 30th against Alabama, and can't wait for you guys to experience it as well.
So what's the over-under on that game, man? I'll take you out of your expertise. We won't go there. Hey, if we need to have you back down the road, I'm going to give you a call if that would be good.
Let me know. And then, and once again, just kind of back to the original start of the conversation with, if there's anybody curious about, how can I get a ticket for a game? How can I experience this thing? Reach out to your booster representative. If you're not sure who that is, use my contact information as well too. We want to make sure that we're connecting with everybody because, one of the exciting things about this facility renovation is we see an opportunity for everybody, whether that be a certain game, price point, location, experience. We want to get to know you more to make the right recommendation.
Mark, what's the phone number they should call to hook up with a rep?
Yeah. The best things are main line. If you're not sure who your contact is, 850-644-1830. That's going to be our main line. That'll go through our ticket office as well too. We've got a great team of interns and student workers that help staff that line. They've been swimming in it the last couple of days with the single game on sale. It's been hectic, and they've done a great job of either connecting somebody with their representative or assisting them directly. So anything ticket or booster related, that main line that Nick just put up there is the best way to get in contact with us.
If they're comfortable going online and just ordering what inventory is available, what website should they go to? What's the URL?
Seminoles.com/tickets. Seminoles.com/tickets is the easiest way to get there. That has a good landing page that has all the sports listed, and then you can click within which sport you're looking for. So that's really cool. We've added some nice functionality. There's some a pick your own seat map that's available for both single game tickets as well as season tickets. So you can drill down to get into the nitty gritty of where do I want to sit for this game, down to the row, and am I on an aisle seat, that sort of thing. So it really gives you kind of the full transparency of where your seat's going to be for a particular game or for the season.
It's awesome. I think we've exhausted this topic for today.
Absolutely. Mark, thank you so much for your time and for joining us today on Seminole Sidelines. That's Mark Cameron, Vice President of Stadium Development and Sales Strategy, though his title, he tells us, is going to be changing sooner. Thank you so much for your time and your expertise. My name is Nick Carlisle with theosceola.com. That's publisher Jerry Kutz. We will see you all again very, very soon.